We have officially entered a new season in the reality TV show that is Manchester United post-glory days, one of the simultaneously highest and lowest rated programs on the market right now, and somehow Ed Sheeran is involved. The Ruben Amorim era at United has begun. The feeling around the club is positive, yet cautiously optimistic. But is it warranted? There are a lot of similarities between the Ruben Amorim and Erik ten Hag appointments, both highly in demand around the world, coming off the back of very successful periods with the best team in their country. How will this be any different from what we've seen in the past? Hello, hope you're well, welcome back. You know those people that just hop from partner to partner hoping that things will change, only to run back to you in a couple of months just like I thought this one would be different. That's you. If you're a United fan, that's you. At this point, after 11 years, United have gone through every single archetype of manager that you can think of. The Scot, reminiscent of days gone by, he just needed more time. The no-nonsense, grizzled, decorated veteran, stickler for the rules of both love and war.
Crap with the hair, only with sex masochism. Then it is allowed, but not in other situations.
A lot of times I use the word horny to my place.
The cool guy with the coolest one-liners, also a savvy investor.
Otamendi, Kevin De Bruyne, Fernandinho, Silva, Sterling, Aguero, they are investments from the past.
The crowd pleaser, everyone's favorite bus driver, the bold one. Bold, not bold, breaker of trends.
An era can come to an end.
Now we have the wonder kid, young, successful, maybe even a bit unorthodox. Plus the Premier League manager hair tier list puts him right up in S tier with Arteta. We live in exciting times. The FA Cup saved Erik ten Hag's job. I think all of us knew this, but at this point, I think all of us truly understand just how much heavy lifting it was actually doing. I'll try and give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I think I did see what he was trying to do and what he was trying to accomplish at Manchester United. Reintroducing discipline, playing out from the back, focusing on structure, trying to command the play. But we only really saw that in flashes. The rest of the time, all we saw were players not knowing where to stand, not tracking back, missing passes, missing golden opportunities, missing tackles, making errors, all of that. And while I'm a firm believer that everyone deserves some blame, I think a team, realistically, is a reflection of the image inside of a manager's head. Maybe that's just my opinion, I don't know. Regardless, the team stopped playing for him some time back. I recently made a video about David Moyes' Manchester United, and I'll echo the sentiment I had towards Moyes for a Ten Hag. These are good managers. Statistically, some of the best out there. All of them, bar I guess Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, are proven trophy winners. They've won medals before and after joining Manchester United. And funnily enough, Solskjaer comparatively did better than most of them in terms of finishing positions. Finished third, then second back to back. The point I'm trying to make is that we live in an upside down world. Don't ask me questions about it. This entire institution is an anomaly, and if you try to make sense of it, you'll just end up hurting yourself in confusion. But maybe this time will be different. Maybe the new guy sees things differently to how the other managers see it. At the very least, he sees what all of us see. We have to be better running back. I think that is clear for everybody. One of Amorim's first words after being confirmed as United manager. That's correct. We live in a world where tracking back isn't something that you can expect from a group of teenagers and 20-something-year-olds all individually earning the GDP of a small country. Ruben Amorim's approach has been touted as a lot of things. He demands a lot from his players. But if you were to make a word cloud of all the descriptors of this man's systems, the word that I found popping up more and more was intensity. Given how rapidly he's risen to where he is, I don't think that should be surprising to anybody. At the time of Amorim taking charge, United sat in 13th place after 11 games. Although that sounds worse than the situation actually was. They were only 4 points off the Champions League spots. A good run of form could change a lot of things, is what I tell myself to help me sleep at night. Which brings us to a question that we'll probably only know the answer to in a couple of months. Why Amorim? Well, after doing unbelievable amounts of independent research, watching one YouTube video, reading half an article before getting bored and going back to my Steam Deck, I can unequivocally, confidently, 1000% say that United are back, we're ready, we're gonna win the league, maybe even the Champions League this season, we're not in it, but don't ask me questions. but I also don't want to get carried away. He's a young man, exceptionally young for a hot seat like this, 39 years young, born in Lisbon, former player with roots at Benfica, where he went on to have a very successful career with multiple league wins. He retired from playing in 2017 and immediately got to work on his badges, and even interned at Manchester United under Jose Mourinho, a man who he says is his idol. Shouldn't be surprising. A year later, he was managing 3rd division Portuguese side Casa Pia. 2 years later, he was given the Sporting job. There was a bit of a crisis. He was their 3rd manager of the season and only took charge in March of 2020. Fun fact, Bruno Fernandes actually left Sporting 2 years prior. That was actually one of the causes of the crisis, I've read. So basically, United have just swooped in and taken another one of their gems. Sporting fans must really like this club. At the very least, Sporting's bank account really likes this club. So that's just a snapshot explaining why he's so highly rated, or at the very least why he was so highly rated, you know, when Liverpool were after him. But now all of a sudden, I don't know, you go on Twitter right now and he's a scrub for some reason. So why will Ruben Amorim succeed where others have failed? Ruben Amorim is a tactical innovator, blending youth development with dynamic football. His disciplined approach, adaptability, and emphasis on teamwork suit Manchester United's rebuilding needs perfectly. That was ChatGPT doing my job for me. I think the match that a lot of United and Premier League only fans will have as a strong reference and introduction to what a strong Amorim side looks like was his 4-1 demolition of Manchester City. We spoke about it in this video here. City were carved apart as Sporting continuously targeted their flanks and gaping holes in the midfield. And apart from making the changes that any sensible coach would make when going up against a team like Manchester City, they didn't set up much too differently than they do domestically. 3 at the back, a 3-4-2-1 or a 3-5-2. In every single one of his games at Sporting, he has fielded a team that has had a variation of at least one of these to start off a game. He may tweak things in-game as required, but I would say that this is definitively this man's style. It's a play style and a formation and setup that he's adopted ever since his time at Casa Pia. Usually though, he goes for a 3-4-2-1. The wingbacks have the most demanding job in that they're expected to overlap, nullify the opposing wingers, join the defensive line. 2 number 10s are expected to underlap and cut back. The striker needs to be forward thinking and play high. The midfield is made up of the classic box-to-box and CDM combo. Both need to be able to destroy and progress the ball. The central centre-back must anchor and often join the midfield in the build-up play. The outside centre backs need to cover the areas a stereotypical fullback would. The only way this works is if on the ball each player always has a multitude of options, and off the ball that the opposition never has a chance to think. Constant intensity. That's just a very simple description of this system. Obviously it's a lot more complex than that, but that's the idea. Sporting were able to assemble a squad of players that were all equipped with the physical requirements to make this system work. Under Amorim, they played with a very recognizable brand and rhythm. 1-2s, constant rotations, incredible movement, fantastic finishing. It was all there. Their match versus City was a joy to watch. He won 2 Primeira Liga titles with Sporting, notably the most recent one. He even left the reigning champions while they were leading the league. Again, Sporting must love Manchester United. It all sounds fantastic, right? Literally music to most United fans here, but that's a very basic description. This is where reality, starts to kick in. This was the starting lineup for his opening match as United manager against Ipswich Town. Our dynamic midfield was Christian Eriksen and Casemiro. One of our dynamic outer centre-backs was Johnny Evans, who was only 3 years younger than Ruben Amorim. I don't think that this lineup should be taken too seriously. I highly doubt that this is the group of players that Amorim wants to use to implement the system that we just described, but this is where reality needs to sink in a little bit, I think, because this match obviously came off the back of an international break. Some players were able to play and train with Amorim while others were on international duty. And then we look at the injury situation where all of Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Lenny Euro, and Lisandro Martinez are injured. That's all the centre-backs basically gone. And then we look at Kobe Mainoo, who was injured. We look at Luke Shaw, who's not fully fit, Tyrell Malacia, Mason Mount, Rasmus Højlund, all of them aren't fully fit. I'm not sure I see where Xerxes fits into all of this as one of the 10s, I'm assuming. He's played as a 9 on a couple occasions this season, but every time he does, I have the exact same complaint. He doesn't really know how to attack the box, and when the wide men are looking for someone in the area, there's no one there. If we play a system where Højlund can actually attack space and receive the ball, I can see him becoming a destroyer. Putting Rashford as he is now as a wingback would be suicide. I don't think he has the close control or ability to distribute that would allow him to play as a 10, despite what the back of his shirt says, so I'm guessing that as he started as a 9 against Ipswich, maybe that's where, Amorim sees him. Manuel Ugarte and Kobe Mainoo seem the prime candidates for the central midfield roles, with the added benefit of Ugarte having played for Amorim for 2 seasons at Sporting. If all of Dalo, Mazraoui, Shaw and Malacia are able to stay fit, then I think we've got that width really sorted. But at the same time, the chances of all of those players staying fit consistently around about the same chances I have of Ana de Armas following me on Instagram. It's unlikely. I'm very excited to see how he uses all of these players, and at the same time, if he deems many of these players useless or, unusable at the very least to his particular system, his squad building ability has been something that's been highlighted as one of the main draws for this job. Sporting released or sold over 30 people in his first few months at the club. Like I said, there was a lot of chaos, but they ended up finishing 4th that season. The next year, in his first full season, he won the title, recapturing the league for the first time since 2002. That's before United bought Cristiano Ronaldo, by the way. Over the next 4 years, he sold a lot of big names like Matheus Nunes, Nuno Mendes, João Paulinho, Pedro Porro, Manuel Ugarte, and many more for well over 200 million euros for just those players alone. And then he won the league again in 2024 by 10 points, after buying Victor Gyökeres for only 24 million, Morten Hjulmand for 20 million, and Trincao for only 7 million. United wanted in on the action. Of course, they also know that they need to tread a little bit carefully because, currently United is Ajax 2.0. You don't want to make the same mistake. To get Ruben Amorim through the door, United had to dish out 11 million euros to Sporting. To get Ten Hag to leave, they had to pay him 18 million euros. My sources last spotted him in Monaco along with Graham Potter and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. They have room for 2 more as Poch and Tuchel recently took off. Some people have a problem with his age. I don't, neither should you. When a young man dominates in an old man's sport, it should make you fearful of how he got there in the first place. Fabian Hutzler is 3 years younger than Danny Welbeck, and that guy is having an incredible season right now. Brighton have beaten both Manchester clubs, they've beaten Spurs, they drew versus Arsenal, they gave Liverpool a very cracking game. They're flying. You see it? It's a bird. In United's announcement of Amorim, they described him as the head coach. I guess that's a reflection of all the restructuring that's going on at the club right now. New CEO, technical directors, and more. To be fair to the ownership, they are being very active with their organization of the club. We haven't seen this much movement at the top level at United in a very long time, certainly not since the Glazers showed up. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, time will tell. It's certainly a bad thing for all the people that have lost their jobs thanks to all the reshuffling. Not an ideal situation at all. I know it's a bit of a cliche and we've heard it time and time again, but Amorim has a pretty good opportunity right now to experiment, As long as he finishes above, I guess 7th, he'll probably remain in the hot seat. And yeah, the bar is that low. It's like starting a new job. You should be given time to acclimatize. Admittedly, Gary Neville and Stephen A. Smith don't commentate on Jane from Accounting's Tuesday night quarterly reportings.
I mean, it's just horrible! Horrible! I'm done!
We have to be realistic. He's come in mid-season, he's had absolutely no influence on transfers, personnel, or any of the season planning. Manchester United have a quality squad. All I'm asking for is a coherent and recognizable playstyle with built-in flexibility when need be. Players need to start taking accountability for their duties. Everyone needs to start acting on pressing triggers, not just Bruno Fernandes. Until we actually see Amorim's United in action for a couple of weeks or months, we're not really going to be able to draw any sort of conclusion, so there isn't much that we can say about his United just yet. But it looks promising. And there we have it. Apart from a match review here and there, we're not going to talk too much about Ruben Amorim's United. We'll probably save a big catch-up for maybe like just before Christmas. So, will I be happy around Christmas time, or will I be spending my Christmas in the loony bin? You guys let me know in the comments. That's all for me today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you're having a great day. Cheers, and I will catch you in the next one.